I know you've already seen videos on this, but I wanted to bring you in on this guitar in particular to justify why I'm using the bridge slotting jig in this instance. So first of all, this is not a really expensive guitar, and what we're doing is we're shaving the bridge down, which you'd never do on like a vintage Martin or a more expensive guitar. So as far as the depth of the bridge, like on this outside, it's only 2 millimeters. And we need to shave that down. So when we're done, there'll be no bridge slot. So before I do that, well, that footprint of the slot is already established. I'm going to deepen it, and that will allow us, in this case, to shave the bridge down to be able to lower the action. So that's the story behind this particular bridge slotting job. This is a duplicate of the Bosch Colt router base. There's my stop on this side, stop on this side. So I'm basically ready to make the cut. And I will explain this clamping system again as I pull it apart after I make the cut. The way this is designed, these little tips actually put pressure right at the junction of the kerfing and the sides. There's no danger of cracking the top or cracking the back, and it holds this thing in place super solid, and it lines up in seconds. The way that Darcy's got these packed in the box, you just lift them out of the box, set them on the guitar, make your cut. It's awesome. I'll show you that in a minute. So this is the CNC'd duplicate of the Bosch Colt router plate. We've got the treble side stop here, we've got the bass side stop here, and that just follows that trajectory of the original bridge slot. So we have deepened that, we completed the cut. I had my elbow in the way of the camera when I made the cut, so I'll have to get you next time on that one. Anyway, so that's done. So what I'm doing now is I'll pull back, I'm just going to take this apart, and it'll give you a better idea how the whole thing works. So the beauty of this is it's just finger tightened. There's no marring, no crushing, no excessive force. Very quick to set up and just as quick to disassemble. So I have mentioned this in other videos. These are essentially hockey pucks that I've thickness, same thickness. The nice thing about the engineered rubber for hockey pucks is you have beautiful traction. You put pressure on there, this thing is not budging, and even those finger tightened fasteners hold this firmly in place. I've never had this jig slip. The other thing that's nice, especially when you're doing these slots, because a lot of the time you got to put a transducer in there, with this rubber there's no compression. So in other words, when you tighten it up, the plate doesn't sink down, so you get a nice even cut. Anyone who's put these type of pickups in knows how accurate you got to be on that slot. A lot of the time, even the factory slot is not accurate enough to put a pickup. And because of that, oftentimes I'll just skim the original factory slot with the bridge slotting jig just to make sure it's perfect before I install a pickup. That's what we want. Now we can put this action anywhere we want it. I'm using the razor blade just to clean it up and take out any swirl marks from the random orbital sander. That last disc was 600 grit, so it didn't really leave much, but I'm just making sure here. you always get the best finish with a scraper. Of course, it's just a razor blade, glorified scraper. So now we'll be able to put this action anywhere we want it. Well, in the final analysis, this is what we ended up with. After shaving the bridge down and then intonating the tusk saddle, I put a new set of ebony pins in. This guitar's been through so much. Okay, so that's what we got at this end. 12 to 53 at concert pitch. Well, as far as the frets go, I did level, recrown, and polish. Got that action way down from where it was. As I promised the customer, I didn't promise a big robust sound. I mean, after all, you know, it's a plywood guitar. It's not an expensive guitar. But you know something? It was her first guitar, and she's giving it to her daughter. So the only thing that I could promise was the guitar would be silky smooth to play and would play perfectly in tune, which it does. Let's have a look at the tuner. We'll do our proverbial tuning test. 6-string. Picking up the traffic on the street. A string. D string. Here's a G. B string. Compensated nut, compensated bridge with the new ebony pins, and fret dresser setup. the simplest tuning checks that I used to get my students to do after I'd set their guitars up is just a simple C chord. You know that C form, and you add that G on top. In the first position, third position, and eighth position. And of course the other intervals were the interval of a tenth, a third moved up an octave, and then reaching for a minor second or a ninth on top.